the power of your vote. And I think a lot of people take it for granted, even because they always keep voting for the same candidates or the same party, and the party takes it for granted. So maybe once it's just best to sit it out and then let them fall and then tell them, look, you folks really want to talk to us, let's talk turkey.
Next is, let's go to Houston. Hi, Houston.
Yes, good morning, CSPAN.
Morning.
Morning, Mr. Kelley.
Good morning.
Yeah, just a comment and a question. It seems, Mr. Kelley, you're way too angry, and I don't know what you're angry about.
I don't think that I'm angry. Do I sound angry?
You look it on the TV, watch the tape after you're finished.
Oh, okay.
And the second is, how does Mr. Kelley get away with using the derogatory term nigger several times? I don't think a white person can get away with that. So that act, Mr. Kelley, you need to clean up.
Well, number one, I was asked to explain the term, and you have to explain the term. So, I mean, I don't know how I can not explain the term. I was asked to explain what the term meant, and I explained it.
What if I had asked you the question using that word?
I'm not PC. I mean, I think too much of what's going on right now, and this is one of the problems. I think a lot of people know, even white people know, that to a certain degree black politics has collapsed and nothing is going on. But lots of times people won't say anything because if you're a white person, you're not supposed to say anything. I've been told that a couple of people would like to have me on their show, but they're nervous about having me on the show because they're white, and it's not within the realm of white people to bring me on or to discuss this issue. I think too much of what's going on is that there's no sense of honest discussion or honest debate. I just think it's just ridiculous that people spend more time getting upset over words, and I can understand why, but the country is just going through some very important things, and it's time for people to really grow up and smell the coffee. Now, if I seem like I'm angry, I'm not angry, I'm just passionate, and maybe I should smile more.
Norman Kelley is a native of Washington, D.C. He's living in Brooklyn now. Has a bachelor's degree in politics and media from Empire State College in 1991, and you have been accepted as a matriculating student at Brooklyn's college graduating program in history. Why do you want to do that? Well,
history has always been my first love, and I always think that if you really want to understand what is going on, where things are going, you have to have a sense of history about the past.
Boston.
Good morning.
Morning.
I don't think you're angry, but what I think is happening is that you're a pioneer. You're looking at the black situation, and you're bringing a whole new perspective. What you're saying is blacks have got to turn around, not look past, but look forward, start to educate, bring through the educated blacks so that they can have broader thinking and give back to their community so that more and more blacks can be educated, so that they can be self-sufficient, which is, I think, what Ronald Reagan probably wanted for blacks. He wanted not for them to have handouts, but for them to be given opportunities to be self-sufficient and independent. I read a book called The Color of Water, and in that book, a young black who had a Jewish mother in New York and a black father, the Jewish mother made sure, even though they were poor, made sure that all the children got well educated, and that's what blacks have to do. They have to be given a chance to be self-sufficient. Thank you.
Well, I agree as to some of the things that you're saying. There's also someone by the name of Deborah Dickerson who wrote a book called The End of Blackness. And I think her book is basically an existential argument saying that black people should stop spending a lot of time thinking about blackness, in the sense that what happens is that you're using that as a way to still have a relationship with whites and constantly wanting whites to recognize black pain and black suffering. And to a certain degree, I think she's making an existential argument that blacks have to go beyond that. And I think Dickerson and various other people are, like myself included, are trying to move beyond the old paradigm of race-based thinking, particularly vis-a-vis whites, but also turning inward and looking at internal problems that we have some control over. Not saying that you shouldn't agitate over resources from this society, because you're a tax-paying person, your ancestors helped build this country also, but you also have to turn around and look internally what's been going on. I think one of the biggest flaws of the civil rights movement has been that the black leadership that came into position after King and Malcolm passed away never spent much time looking at internal redevelopment. W.E.B. Du Bois talked about this years ago. In the aftermath of the Depression, he said perhaps black folks really shouldn't be spending too much time thinking about integration, but step back, help ourselves, deal with certain things like creating more wealth, and then move from a position of strength.
Quick reaction to some people, just to, again, get a feel for where you're coming from. Congressman Charlie Rangel.
You know, he's been around for a while.
Does he represent the same group that you're talking about?
I don't think so. Charlie Rangel came into position in the early 70s. He's been around for 30 years. I'm at the school that, you know, I think like 10 years, maybe 15 years is enough for anybody to be in Congress. But if the people of Harlem are happy with them, I mean, far be it for me to tell them to be removed, but I think Charlie Rangel and people of their generation should, you know, step aside and allow a new generation to come in. And I think this is going to be one of the problems that's going to go on, that the hip-hop generation, of which I am not a member of because I'm 50 years old, they are coming to the position of leadership. And I think they have an albatross around their necks because there are a lot of issues that have not been resolved, and I think they have been kept out of power. They have not been groomed properly.
Is there any member of Congress currently serving that you would say represents some of the ideas that you have in your book?
Probably, but the Black Congressional Caucus are just like, I consider them MIA, missing in action. You don't even hear about them that much. I mean, every fall there's a congressional weekend and stuff like that. But I think they've done a pretty bad job as to formulating ideas and policies and mechanisms to try to tackle some of these issues. You just don't even hear about them very much.
Norman Kelley is the author of this book, The Head Negro in Charge Syndrome, The Dead End of Black Politics. It is published by, is it Nation Press?
Nation Press, Avalon Publishing Group.
Is that affiliated with The Nation magazine?
Yes, it is.
And next call for him is Tuscaloosa, Alabama.
Good morning, Connie. You and Ms. Kelley. Ms.
Good
Connie,
morning.
let me answer your question for you. The reason why you couldn't call them a nigger because your people enslaved ours. Our people never enslaved yours, so therefore we can use that terminology. It wouldn't be fitting for you. But I agree with the brother in a great deal there. I call them the plantation supervisors and the Uncle Toms and Aunt Jemimas. In other words, the so-called Republicans would choose Uncle Toms and Aunt Jemima who have no relationship with the black community, and then you will get the blacks who want to be close to whites in the Democrat Party, and all they want to do is supervise blacks for whites. But the black man that I've seen come through in the last 50 years, and I've been